Hello friends and welcome back. If you're new here, hi, my name is Kallie Branciforte and this is Baby Friendly May. I recently had a baby a couple weeks ago, so you're probably going to be seeing her in a handful of videos. But in today's video, we are going to be talking about motivation. A really common question that I get asked a lot is about motivation. I get asked how I find the time and energy and motivation to complete tasks to essentially do so much. How do I find time to be a mom and run a YouTube channel and write my blog and keep the house clean and still have motivation to complete organizational tasks around my house? And the first part of the answer is that I don't. Please remember that everything you see online is always someone's highlight reel, and even though I try to keep things really honest and real as possible as I can, you still don't see every moment of my day, and I'm not killing it every minute of every day, just trust me. Now the second part of the answer is that I've learned the importance of having a sense of purpose through my day. But like I said, I learned this. I haven't always been this way. It's been learned over the years. Before I quit my office job to be a full-time YouTuber and blogger, I spent over 5 years working that full-time job while doing this as my side hustle. And I had just as much time in the day as everyone else. What I've really learned along the way is that your motivation can be hacked. There are tricks that I use every day to essentially hack myself and my brain into being more productive, and today I'm going to share those with you. My number one trick about getting motivated and getting working is that the idea that a body in motion tends to stay in motion and a body in rest tends to stay at rest. And this means the best way that I get myself going is to force myself to move. Whenever I'm feeling unmotivated, lazy, or tired, I don't want to get up and do something, I will force myself to do a small amount of movement. This can be tons of different things. Maybe I'll force myself to do just one task on my to-do list. Maybe I'll go for a walk. Maybe I'll do a 15-minute cleaning hack, which if you're new here, my 15-minute cleaning hack is when I set 15-minute alarm on my phone and I speed clean for 15 minutes. Basically, I just force my body into motion, and I find that 9 times out of 10, once I'm moving, the more I move, the more my mind and body feel able to move, and the energy just sort of compounds on itself. So let me give you a scenario. When I used to work in an office, I would come home, and what do you think the first thing I wanted to do was? I wanted to sit down on the sofa and relax, right? Like I just worked all day. Let me sit down for a second. But I found that if I had some things I wanted to get done, coming home and sitting down was literally the worst solution, because I was taking a body that was in motion and I was making it a body at rest. And 90% of the time, if I slouched down to my sofa, there was a very good chance that an hour later, I was still gonna be there, scrolling through Instagram or like looking at Pinterest or whatever. We think to ourselves, I'm just gonna relax for 20 minutes, but the truth is, turning a body at rest back into a body in motion is a lot more work than keeping a body in motion already in motion. So instead, when I got home, I would use that momentum that I had had to complete something. So at that time in my life, I'd usually take our dogs for a quick walk. Once again, 9 times out of 10, when we got back from that walk, I found that I was more likely to keep that momentum and to continue to work. So when you're sitting around and you're feeling lazy, or you're feeling tired, or you're feeling unmotivated, but you have things that you want to get done, is to first just take that one small step to force your body into some type of motion. My next trick is to visualize the end result of what you're lacking motivation to do. Sometimes just visualizing the completed task instead of thinking of each individual step can motivate me enough to get started, as opposed to feeling overwhelmed by all the steps that it's going to take to get me there. Not to mention, there have been studies that actually have proven that the mind can't always distinguish between real events and mental ones. So what this means is you can like legitimately just like mind hack yourself. If you imagine yourself enjoying a task and finishing the task, you're more likely to enjoy the task and complete it. If you spend a lot of time sitting around thinking about how much work it's going to be and how long it's going to take, you're less likely to enjoy the task, less likely to complete it, and just less likely to, like get started and get it done. My next hack is to find ways to make a task more enjoyable. So for tasks that are particularly hard or tedious, which typically are the ones that are really hard to get motivated to do, I try to find ways to make them more fun. So I will listen to upbeat music and dance party through doing boring tasks. Putting on some of your favorite music is an instant mood lifter, and I can promise you dancing while doing the dishes is far more enjoyable than just like doing the dishes. Another thing that I really like to do is listen to good audiobooks. This can make a tedious task go a lot quicker. Another thing that I've been known to do is give myself little rewards for completing tasks. It's sort of like when you were in kindergarten and you would get like a star on your chart, but this is like the cool adult version. An example that I've shared with you guys in previous videos is that I love having an afternoon iced coffee at home. This is my little treat. I get it every single day and I really look forward to it when my oldest goes down for his nap. So I will often force myself to complete a task before I get to have my little iced coffee. Again, it seems sort of silly, give yourself little rewards, but it totally works. Next hack is one I've shared with you guys a lot because it really, really works, but that is a brain dump. A big culprit to not getting started is overwhelm. We have what seems like way too many tasks to do and we don't even know where to start. Does that sound familiar? This happens to me all the time, even with good planning and organization. Sometimes we just get overwhelmed with tasks, and my best hack for doing this is to brain dump. I probably do a brain dump at least once a week. The way that it works is you sit down, you literally dump everything that's on your brain, in your brain, onto a sheet of paper. Everything you want or need to get done, everything that you were thinking about doing, all the steps that you need to do it, just keep writing until there's literally nothing left in your brain. And just the process of writing it down can help you take it out of your head and basically start to close the tabs that you have open in your brain. And once these tasks are down on paper, it's a lot easier to see them and prioritize them because you can really visualize them. So I like doing it with color. I'll go through and mark tasks as need to be done right now, need to be done this week, this month, when I have time. When all the tasks are in your head, it's really hard to organize them and prioritize them because you can't visually see them laid out in front of you. So when you've written them down, you've taken these tasks out of your brain and you've prioritized them into like, okay, I'll do these ones today and these ones tomorrow. You don't feel overwhelmed, and it's a lot easier to get motivated and to get started because you're like, oh, I just have these 4 things to do today. I can totally do that. This next hack is for those little daily or weekly tasks that we all procrastinate doing. We just like conveniently ignore them day after day until they're just don't get done. And the funny thing about these little tasks is they're usually not even that big. It's something really small, like emptying the bathroom trash can or taking the recycling out to the recycling bin or responding to an email. So my little hack here is next time you have this particular task that you always procrastinate because you know you have one, is to time yourself on how long it takes to do it. I literally want you to set a timer on your phone and then complete this task that you always procrastinate and see how long it takes. Because I find that very often these tasks actually take way less time than we think they do in our mind. And when we realize that taking the trash out to the garbage bin literally takes like less than 60 seconds, it could be a really great motivator in future instances. You can say to yourself, okay, this is literally gonna take me 45 seconds, and that makes it feel so much more attainable, and you kind of don't dread it because you know it's gonna take you less than a minute. I used to always procrastinate taking things down to our basement. The majority of storage in this house is in our basement. We don't have closets or storage on our main living floor, so toys, blankets, towels, craft supplies, they all need to go in the basement. And I used to create these little piles of things to go to the basement, and they ended up just cluttering up the kitchen and never really got to the basement any faster. So one day I timed myself, and you guys, it literally took 28 seconds to carry an item to the basement and come back upstairs. 28 seconds. I was avoiding this task like it was the plague, and it took me less than half of a minute to do it. And honestly, ever since I've timed it, whenever I have something that needs to go to the basement, I'm like, yeah, I can spare 28 seconds. I don't even have an excuse not to do it, and now I just get it done. All right, my next hack is to take time to rest, but also don't overdo it. I feel like we can end up in this flip-flop narrative where when it comes to productivity, where on one side people are like, good things come to those who hustle, and the other side people are like, normalize not being busy all the time. And the truth is, that's because this is a very hard balancing act. It's a balancing act of hustling and also resting. Personally, I think that things come to those who work for it. I'm very much a believer in hard work and putting in the hours, but at the same time, there is most certainly burnout, and you don't want to overwork yourself to the point that you've burnt out. Trust me, I've done it. I think that it's important to take time to rest. I also think it's very easy for us to use this as an excuse. The big problem here is we all tend to look at rest as a reward, right? We worked so hard that we deserve to take a break, or it was a long day, deserve to relax. And while I'm 100,000% on board for giving yourself time to relax, this thought process obviously also makes work look like a bad thing and rest look like the good thing. It's like having to eat your vegetables to get your cookie, another concept that I don't believe in, but that's for another day. My tip here is to shift your thinking from putting rest as the reward that you get, and instead try to take pride in working hard so that completing a project or having a successful day at work becomes your reward. When you complete a task, make sure to celebrate it. Take a second to step back and enjoy the completed task so you can get that feeling of accomplishment. I'm personally a big believer that one thing that is extremely important in our life is a sense of purpose. Having purpose and a feeling of fulfillment is way better and way more rewarding than a break. So take time to take pride in your work. You'll remember that feeling of purpose and that feeling of accomplishment and fulfillment, and it'll help motivate you in later tasks to strive for that same feeling as opposed to striving for being able to take a break. Now my next tip sort of goes off that last one, and that is to illustrate progress. Our brains love progress, and they love seeing progress, and it can increase our motivation to keep going. So this is why I love a good to-do list. Take your list of to-dos, which you already have if you use my brain dump idea, and check things off as you complete them. Again, this is reminding ourselves of the hard work we've done so far and rewarding our brain for being productive. All right, my next hack is to stop multitasking. Listen, I'm just as guilty of multitasking as the next person. I mean, like, look at what I'm doing right now. And there's definitely a time and a place to multitask. But that being said, it's not how you want to complete all your tasks. Even though it may feel like you're doing 2 tasks simultaneously, your brain is actually switching back and forth between the tasks, and our brains are actually not set up to work this way. Studies have proven that doing 2 tasks at once, as opposed to separately, actually decreases productivity of events by up to 40%. And another study showed that someone distracted by a phone call or an email while trying to complete a separate task temporarily lowers their IQ by 10 points. And the reason being is that every time your brain switches tasks, even though you feel like it's milliseconds, you're forcing your brain to work harder. Every switch literally uses up glucose in our brain, causing us to tire quicker and earlier, essentially making you not perform at 100%. Long story short, even if multitasking feels like we're doing more, it's actually not more productive. Try to get in the habit of working on 1 task at a time and then moving on to the next. All right, last tip, and baby's now out of the carrier because we have to take a small break because baby needed to eat. Sometimes you just gotta roll with the punches, you know, and this last tip is actually perfect for that. It's for when things don't go exactly how you were planning. This is a hack that is one of my all-time favorites, especially as a mom. I use it all the time because things just don't go how we anticipate. Unknown things come up, which can stand still our motivation. So my trick, when needed, is to hit the restart button. Declaring a new fresh start is one of my best hacks when I'm in a rut, when I'm faced with some failures or some setbacks throughout the day or the week and I'm feeling frustrated or down. Here's the thing, we tend to wait for a special time to hit restart. We wait until Monday to start a new diet or wait till January 1st to start a new resolution. The reason people do this is because these are basically very concrete time markers that indicate past versus present. And looking at time this way, with the distinction of past and present, allows us to disconnect from the past setbacks or failures and say, okay, that's behind me, it's over. And you can look forward with a new and more positive outlook. But here's the real hack. You don't need to wait for one of these concrete time markers to do this. There's no real difference between starting fresh in the morning versus starting fresh literally right this very second. The only difference is our perspective of it. You can literally start fresh anytime. It does take a little bit of practice. It's something I've been working on for quite a few years now, and I find that now I can almost immediately hit the refresh button at any point and get that same renewed feeling that other people might get from waiting to start fresh tomorrow or starting fresh on Monday. The process goes a little bit like this. Step 1, acknowledge that you need to reset. Say, okay, today's going downhill. My toddler threw their breakfast everywhere. I spilled my coffee. I didn't get to the dishes like I wanted to. I didn't have enough time to work on X, Y, Z, or whatever. Acknowledge that you're feeling like the day is going downhill, or that you're feeling flustered, or you're feeling in a rut. Then the second step is to start fresh. Now you say, okay, this is my fresh start. It starts right now. What happened in the past is done. It is over. I can't go back and fix it, but it's not going to weigh on what's coming next. Just because those things happened this morning doesn't mean the rest of my day will continue this way. Starting now, it is a fresh start. Like I said, this is going to take a little bit of practice to do it, but the more you do it, the more you'll find how it works for you and the more successful you'll be at it quicker. When you first start using a mental reset button, sometimes pairing it with a concrete action can help. So maybe say, I'm going to run and get a coffee, and when I get back from my coffee, my reset starts. Or I'm going to take a quick 10-minute walk and then start my reset. Again, it helps our brain distinguish the past versus the present so we can move on and focus on the future and look at the setbacks as behind us. All right, my friends, that does it. That is my 10 best motivation hacks. You can literally, like, in some instances, hack your brain into being more productive and more motivated. And I hope that even if you use only one of these, it helps you to feel a little more motivated throughout your day. As always, thank you so much for stopping by and watching. Both Finley and I hope you are having a wonderful day. And we will see you, well, maybe both of us won't see you. I don't know. At least I will see you in my next video. Finley, will you be in the next video? She doesn't know. She's asleep. Very cute.